the GDP of Burkina Faso is 20 billion. Per capita is about $888. Is 185th out of 193 countries in the world in the ranking of poverty ranking of the world. So what do you make of this presentation? I think it's, to some extent, it's really propaganda in terms of what he has accomplished in this period that he's been there.
Yeah, that's, I made a passing reference to the half-truths and propaganda that are deployed to lionize him and to get him to be loved by our people. So let's separate two things here. That he has taken a lot of symbolic steps that are praiseworthy, that are commendable, that have provided the raw materials for our people's self-pride, self-regeneration. So no one can question that. For instance, his rhetoric as well. He rejected, it's a fact that he rejected World Bank IMF loans. That's a fact. Two, he reversed the increase in the salaries of senior political and military officers that his predecessor had approved. But and some other symbolic actions too that are really praiseworthy, admirable. But there are a heck of a lot of things that are not true. And I'm saying they're not true, not just based on my reading, but also because, my mother was born and raised in Benin Republic. And the part of Benin Republic she comes from shares a boundary with Burkina Faso. And I have a cousin who lives in Burkina Faso. And we had a long conversation. We always have long conversation about Burkina Faso, even before he took over. And just 2 days ago, we talked for a very long time. And he says for a lot of them, this propaganda about what he's supposedly doing in Burkina Faso is a source of mirth, source of laughter. And we talked about when, through a laundry list of things that are flying around on the internet about things he supposedly did. And so a lot of people, they laugh. So no, that's not true. But for instance, the idea that he increased the salaries of workers, this guy said, no. On the contrary, he has forced workers to part with 1% of their salaries to help with the revolution, to fight the insurgents. And two, he said, freedom of speech is gone. It's completely gone. Anyone who criticizes the administration, gets arrested. And he told me about 3 journalists who have been conscripted forcefully into the army because they criticized his handling of the terrorists in the country. At least 40% of the country is still controlled by terrorists. It used to be 60%, so that is now 40%. The government says it's just 30%, but most estimates say it's 40%. I mean, that's commendable, but anyone who criticizes his tactics is forcefully conscripted into the army and then thrown to the battlefield. So that's been going on. So right now, the only gathering that is allowed is gathering that sings the praises of the president.